the presentation, in which the IBM IBV is the institute founded in 2002 who collaborates every year, comes out with wonderful studies. And today the study that I'm presenting to you is the 4th Global C-Suite study. And the important thing for you to remember is that we have interviewed 13,000 executives across 6 different CXO roles in 20 industries and in 98 countries. The report information that you're going to be dealing with is all about the fact that data matters, how organizations are deriving value from it, and what it takes to lead today. The report also further tells you what are the strategies behind success of some of the advanced companies whom we are calling torchbearers, who are outperforming their peers in revenue growth and in profitability. So let me delve into what are the roles. I already mentioned to you that we have done it 13,000 respondents across the world, but in India, the report that I'm presenting to you today is for 490, about 500 participants, and you will see a fairly equal distribution across CXO roles, except that CIOs, Chief Information Officers, are many more in the 500 study report. Now, I already mentioned to you that torchbearers are the ones who are outperforming their peers. So out of all the companies who participated in the Indian study, you will find that 10% of them are the torchbearers. So 10% of the peers are, outperforming. And 32% are what we call aspirationals, and there are builders and there are also explorers. What does that mean? Torchbearers have managed to integrate their data and business strategies, whereas aspirationals are still struggling to derive any value out of their data. In the middle are builders and explorers. Builders may have had better success than aspirationals in deriving value from data, and explorers have had much better success at deriving value from the data, but they're still not managing to integrate data strategy with their business strategy. So if you were to look at this continuum and then now look at what are the torchbearers doing differently, you will probably get answers to your own AI strategy too inside your organization. Okay, so like we already mentioned, torchbearers deliver exceptional results. They lead the pack in terms of outperformance and in terms of profitability, much better than the rest of the peers that they have that you can see on this chart. I've moved on. The torchbearers drive innovation and they succeed through change. So one of the important things for us to remember when we're looking at AI and data and ML play, that innovation is key to it, and that change is something that we have to embrace. So if you look at the numbers, it's 86% versus 23%, and 90% of them are talking about the fact that they are successful at managing change compared to their industry peers. So remember this, innovation and change. So therefore, if I were to look at this whole area, we've divided it into 3 parts, which is to say we will talk to you about how they manage the customers, how they manage inside their organization, and how they look at the ecosystem. So as far as the customers go, what is happening over here? What the torchbearers are doing is that they are using data to strengthen the customer trust, and that creates a strategic advantage for them. I'd like to quote Suraj Chetri here. He is from Airbus, and he says, the most important challenge will be the ability of an organization to adapt to the disruption caused by database decision making. But the key to this is that the customer needs to trust you and give their data to you. Okay. Now, interestingly, among this, the top 5 priorities that Indian CXOs, out of this 490 people that we're talking about, they are saying that data privacy and how you roll out data privacy and the things that you do for data privacy, this is the top 5 priority for ensuring that you have a competitive advantage. The others are workforce skills, brand value, and customer relationships and distribution channels. But please remember that data privacy needs to be key. So it needs to be a boardroom discussion inside your organizations. The ISA torchbearers, the people who are ahead of the others, they leverage data to reinvent the customer journey map. So which means that they are actually reinventing the customer experience on the basis of data, not on the basis of gut, not on the basis of just innovation. Innovation is being led by data. ISA torchbearers are also using trusted data to create a competitive advantage. This we discussed earlier. They are testing new business model ideas on the basis of data, which is what we mean by data and business integration. They are using data to develop or enter new markets, and that's really relevant for the CEOs and the boards, because everybody is looking for growth today inside any organization. So what are the things that you need to do to win the trust in this economy? You need to prove transparency to the customer. You need to earn reciprocity. They need to understand that if they give you your data, what do they get in return? You need to demonstrate accountability as an organization. That is what we mean by strengthening your data privacy policies and programs. You need to double click on data inside your organization and treat it as a strategic asset rather than just a tactical program point to point running. And you also need to future proof your data strategy, craft situations and scenarios to say how you will use data in future. The second part, like I mentioned, which is how do you have the data strategy inside your enterprise and what are the things that you need to do over there? Now, if you again look at Torchbearers who are succeeding in this whole data battle, they place deep trust in data to make better decisions. And therefore, what is important to them is collecting the right data, which you see on the left. So 82% of them, they say that we collect the right kind of data and the right amount of data versus the rest. And also, the C-suite team has the data mindset needed to improve the speed and the quality of decision making, which means that there is also leading by example among us their C-suite. The next important bit is the ISA Torchbearers empower employees to dive into data. That's very important. A business organization cannot become a data-driven organization unless employees are empowered to use the data to take decisions. So remember this, that data cannot be at the beck and call of the very few. Data needs to empower all your employees for taking the relevant decisions for their functions. Another thing, an important difference is that the Torchbearers see AI and machine learning as being key to maximizing data's value more than their global counterparts also, and of course more than the aspirationals, which means that their AI and ML path must have started much earlier, which is what strengthens their belief. The data and AI live together is something that I started my presentation with and I mentioned to you. The ISA Torchbearers, ISA in our case refers to India and South Asia, so that's the acronym. ISA Torchbearers are pushing harder to improve the quality of their data. Everybody understands that data needs to be cleaned and made much better. So they are spending a lot of time and effort in cleansing the enterprise data and also in purging the enterprise data when required, because that's what's required for more quality data inside the organization. Another interesting thing, and especially very true for India, is unstructured and structured data being availability. India has had, by the way, better success than the global counterparts in figuring out how to work with unstructured as well as structured data. So that's interesting. India is always known for innovation and its brilliant minds. So let's feel good about that. But the Indian organizations are also laying the foundations for creating trusted data, which means good governance again. The data privacy policies, rules for collection, usage and sharing of data inside the organization are very, very solid, and enough time has been spent. And that's what differentiates the Torchbearers from the aspirationals. So inside the enterprise, what is the action that one needs to look at? One is lead the trust in data from the top. So put the database decision making at the top of the agenda for the CEO, the board, and all the CXOs. Empower employees, we discussed earlier. Push the envelope on data and technology, expand your horizons on what data can do for you, establish the data governance norms across the enterprise, and leverage the power of hybrid cloud. Provide the scale for data proliferation as you broaden the range and diversify all of your data sources. It's extremely important, all the audience that we have here in the webinar today, for you to explore how you can leverage the power of hybrid cloud for ensuring that data is available to everyone, at all times for the decision making that we spoke about inside the enterprise. The last bit that I mentioned, organizations cannot succeed alone. Organizations need to be part of an ecosystem, and data needs to be leveraged by the ecosystem. But the very important thing is how much and what data under what norms can be shared with your ecosystem partners. So let's see how are the Torchbearers succeeding and what are they doing. The Torchbearers in India are more apt to using data for growing revenue rather than cost reduction, and which is where the point about sharing it with the ecosystem is concerned. So they are looking at identifying revenue growth opportunities. If you keep that in mind, you will realize that therefore they're willing to share data with their partners under very strict norms. Like we said, that data privacy governance policies need to be important, but also we need to build bridge into understanding and realizing that we will need to share data with our ecosystem partners for our own growth, right? The more interesting thing is after you share it with your partners and in the ecosystem, data monetization becomes better. And that's where the torchbearers are saying that they are exploring ways to monetize their data. So this is, holy grail, as we all know. Monetization of data is a very important aspect of the whole data strategy, and that's how you also build revenue growth from there. So if I were to look at again 5 tenets of how to share data in the platform era, one is use data to refresh your business strategy. So look for deeper insights into newer markets, into customer journeys, and also your competitors. Secondly, develop a data sharing roadmap. Decide what data we are prepared to share and what data we want to keep very close to our chest, what is going to be competitive insights for us for later. Establish a secure data exchange, and that will also impact your transparency to the customer, your responsibility towards the customer data. So create a secure, transparent, and create data accountability inside your organization for data that runs through your business platforms. Build and keep trusted partnerships. It's very important that we have that trust and relationship with our partners, because that's when we can trust them with our data. And work towards creating a data monetization strategy. That's where, like I mentioned, the holy grail is there of data and AI space. So to summarize, trust from your customers is very important. Torchbearers are doing it. If some organizations can do it, why can't all of us? Trust in the enterprise data by ensuring that you empower the employees, and that confidence that you will get from there is phenomenal for your organization to grow and succeed, and the trust across ecosystem. So trust and data and AI all goes together. Those are the 3 mantras from today's session. And in the end, I just want to share, I was at Gartner recently in Goa, and one of the slides that most, I think, important for all of us who are participating today is that through 2021, digital transformation initiatives will take large traditional enterprises on average twice as long and cost twice as much as anticipated. And I think the needle moves every year. So if you haven't started last year, start now, because tomorrow will be twice as more expensive and will take you twice as long. So start today is my message to all of you. And the webinar doesn't need to end here. We are doing a phenomenal online event on the 11th of February. The link can be posted on the chat by my team. There are some IDMers, on the chat here. Kindly post the link there. Please go to the link, register yourself, and I would like to see all of you on 11th February at a really, really big online event. We are hoping thousands of people will be joining in, and we are hoping that you are part of those thousands. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Kingshuk, who's going to take you through the rest of the presentation.
Hi. Could you go to the first slide, please? Just give us a second. Welcome again, all of you. I think you got a pretty good coverage of what the turf looks like, what the firms are looking to do, and what are the critical elements of getting success in this area. And I'll pick up from where Dipali left, and I will focus on one key aspect that's increasingly becoming essential to the success of AI and platforms as the organizations take it to the next to this year and beyond. So let's cut the clutter and let's get to the essentials, the bare bones. What is necessary for making AI successful? It's essentially data. Dipali stressed on it. It's also about how you organize the data, because data hidden in multiple pigeonholes in an organization doesn't lend to anything being created. The question is, how do you lay it out? How do you lay out a data fabric so that data is equidistant to all, and all those who want to use it, easily accessible, and can draw it out and then churn intelligence out of it? The next step is make the data available to all those people who want to use it for creating intelligence and scale insights with AI. And the next big step is allowing everybody to access that intelligence and thereby creating an organizational fabric. Now, what are the two big problems that almost any organizations look at? It can be broadly classified into two. One is volume, velocity, and accuracy kind of problems, where you want to do it, you want to attend to large volumes at faster pace, retaining accuracy, rather improve accuracy. That's one of the big blocks. What is the other one? The other one is deciphering hidden causal relationships in your business. So these two are the big drivers that are propelling most of the firms to exploit AI and thereby pay more attention to the data and how the data is laid out. Yeah. We'll just move to the next slide. So how does this all happen? The way it happens is you don't take AI to data, you rather bring data to AI. So you lay out a service in an organization such that any data is available at beck and call to anybody who wishes to use it and create intelligence out of it. The crux that we need to remember, AI is not about complex algorithms. Most of the people get that right. But the issue that becomes is, once you create intelligence, does it remain perched in one corner of the organization? That's where the problem lies, and that leads to the next thing, the AI democratization, which essentially says that a person or anybody in the organization should be able to draw data. Once they create intelligence out of it using AI, should be able to post it back to the organization such that the organization, anybody in the organization, should be able to use it. I'll give you a simple example. You think about file systems, right? You don't think about how the file gets stored. You essentially store it, you share it, people use it. It's just that simple. And that's where the AI, the whole fabric needs to go to. When we get to that, what happens is business users, that leads to the next step. The business users are able to use AI pretty much instantaneously without thinking all the complexities that runs behind it, all the math that run behind it, all the connections, all the linkages that are at play behind it. What the business user do is use it pretty much like any other service. And that's when AI gets operational. Once AI gets operational, then fundamentally the organization moves from gut feel decisions to AI-based decisions, which are in turn data-based decisions. And that's when the organization starts scaling and reaping the benefits of AI at scale. And that's what, when we use the terminology AI at scale, that's essentially what we are meaning, right? Then as the organization evolves to the next stage, these AI models then become self-aware, they self-generate, they challenge, and you run champion challenges, and it becomes an automotive process. And that's when the organization starts to refresh intelligence on its own as time rolls by, as environments change, and as business processes change. It remains evergreen. That's the holy grail of AI and data. I just want to ask you one simple question, which I would love you all to answer. Is does your organization believe that it can benefit from deploying AI in 2020? Can I see the answer, please? Yeah, I think the answers are overwhelmingly yes. 59% say that yes to a large extent, and somewhat maybe is about 29%, not really, or don't know is about 10%. So it's pretty clear that the infiltration of AI and the understanding of AI is percolating deep and wide across all organizations. and it's only going to accelerate as we go forward. So as Dipali mentioned, the early starters clearly have an advantage because they are laying out the data fabric and will be ahead of time. The models are going to be stronger. The usages are going to be well integrated in the organization, and the organization matures in business decisions on the decisions and the inputs provided by the AI, which of course underlying runs on data. So we'll take you through one simple example before we reach out to the market and before we deploy any of our strategies. We often try it on us. And at IBM, and I'll keep it short, at IBM, we checked how this works out, and we did an internal transformation, and it's been a very success story. It has given us immense confidence to take it to the market. So what have we done? And I'm just picking a small example. Broadly, in any organization, AI lends and gives benefit in two broad areas. One is you can make your organization significantly more efficient, and the other is you understand your customer better and you respond to your customer much better. So there are two broad areas where any organization deploys AI, and any organization deploys autonomous decisioning. Yeah. So I'll take you through a small case study, which is real, which is what we at IBM experienced. What we did is we transformed our own automated, our own expense management system. And you know that IBM is a large firm. It's a $80 billion plus firm. We have close to 3 lakh employees. So expense management is a very significant task. And if you see in the industry, it's second to payroll in terms of in expense. And we know for a fact that there is significant leakages and that happens in every organization in this area. There is also a significant amount of asset misappropriation that happens. And the matter of fact is the volumes prevent people from going through 100% audit because that's simply too expensive. So what have we done at IBM? What we have done is deployed AI, AI to transform this. And as a result of this, what we have achieved is we have significantly reduced manual intervention. We have 100% audit coverage. We have dramatically reduced compliance and dramatically reduced fraud, dramatically increased compliance, and most importantly, we're well guarded with respect to government regulations. The consequence of it is of course a reduction in operation stream. More importantly, reduction in expense leakage. Now, why am I giving you this example? This example is a standing testimony that AI works wonderfully when in a situation of volume, velocity, accuracy combination. And this is a really good example of it. And so let me just touch upon the salient aspects of this. What we have seen is we have got a workforce efficiency of 55%. We have seen a reduction of expenses lost to fraud by 5%, and that's pretty significant. We have seen a liability mitigation with respect to government regulations come down by more than 10 million, and that's pretty significant. So all those of you who are in organizations, this could be a good example for you to think what internal processes, what internal aspects of your organization could be automated using AI, and you can take a leap from this and look at around you as to what you can really automate to give significant benefit. Of course, it's going to be different for different organizations. You will have certain processes which are high velocity and volume, and you would need to go to that. Now, what have we done? Behind all of this is a set of complex analytics that runs in conjunction with the data that we harvest. We have nearly 30 behavioral patterns that we run, and remember, these are not static. These are constantly refreshed and harvested from the data. So as time rolls by, these models are evergreen, and they are continuously training themselves to detect the emerging patterns. What does it do? That significantly reduces, as I mentioned. It also allows us to preempt future fraud. It allows us to correct behavior, and that's a significant benefit for us. Now, as we go ahead, let me just take you to the next stage. Now, I just want you to focus on one critical aspect. What I showed you is just a nugget of the whole thing, and just focus. If you focus on this cognitive invoice processing, that's really what I showed you. But imagine now if you extend this treatment to the entire ecosystem of the workflow, which is from need to sourcing, to managing, to payment, to invoicing, and all the way down, your benefits simply multiply. And that's the core point which Dipali talked about also, that the time has come for us to deploy AI at scale. And what does that mean? That simply means that for the last 5 or 6 years, a vast number of organizations have introduced AI, but they have been pinpricks. They do not yield value at balance sheet level. But when you combine deployment of AI and data and deploy it at scale, where you across the entire process and the ecosystem, the benefits become very significant. So here, if you see at IBM, and now what we have taken to our customers, we have the capability to deploy AI at every single stage of this workflow. And similarly, thousands of other workflows across different industries, and yield real value to the customers. So now the time has come when we are getting there, where AI is no longer a nice intellectual project in the corner of an organization, but where it starts to deliver very significant value, and value to the extent that you cannot ignore it anymore, and becomes a very key competitive factor. I'll just touch upon the other aspect which I did not touch upon before, which is you can make your organization efficient. You can also make your interaction with your customers significant and better. And that's what we have done with a large number of organizations. And I'll touch upon just two. We have worked with one of the largest banks of India. Essentially, it's a public sector bank, the largest one. And we have completely transformed the way they reach out to their customers, the way they decision their customers, the way they understand their customers, the way they remember their customers, their behavioral changes they have, and thereby structure the product, structure the communication, structure the decision process, structure how they are going to reach out to them, what is going to be told to them, and the structure of offers, all of it. And this bank is going through a very significant transformation, and IBM has been a wonderful partner with them for the last 10 years, and we are going to be with them for the next decade too. And you will see this out there in the Indian market, and because it's just too big a name to ignore. I'll just come to the next one. Just another example. We are also transforming the retail business, the fashion business, where we are now at a stage of maturity where we can predict sales forecasts, sell-through rates, etc., not just by statistical analysis, but absolute causal analysis, where we can say that what's really causing the changes, what's really causing the patterns that we are seeing. Is it the texture of the fabric? Is it the cut of the fabric? Is it the season that's affecting it? Is it the offers that your competition is deploying that's changing the market landscape? What is it that's at play? And what are the causal relationships? And it can explain the key word here, which I want you to focus upon, is the explainable aspect of it. Essentially, a lot of AI in past has been mathematical algorithms that only a few can understand. So when it spits out a result, it's quite difficult to decipher why is the system saying this? Now, what we have done, and very shortly I'll show you how and why that's becoming a critical aspect going forward, and how IBM innovation is really making it happen. Essentially, what it would do is, after it produces a result for you, it will explain the result to you. Explain the result to you in terms that you can understand, in terms of business parlance that are relevant to you, and in terms of in terms that such that you can take a business decision very quick. Yeah. Now, I just want to touch upon, so we have covered two aspects. We have said AI at scale is deployable, provided you have a great data fabric, which Dipali touched upon. We said that once you create intelligence, make it available to the rest of the organization and make it easy for the organization to consume, and ensure that your entire data infrastructure and your AI infrastructure is self-learning, so that it can keep it evergreen and pertinent to the business landscape that you are in currently. Now, we also touched upon that you can transform your organization's internal processes, thereby creating efficiency. And you can also significantly improve how you interact with your customers and understand your customers, and thereby taking control of your business landscape. Now, the question is, what's behind this? Now, I would like to show a short video for you to understand, and then I will get into it, how these dots connect together. Team, if you could just play the video. Now, this is about where IBM technology is today and where we are taking it.
Inkshuk, are you there?
Hi, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible now.
All right, okay. It looks like we lost a little bit of audio. I'll just quickly repeat. Gentlemen and ladies, what you just witnessed is an absolute cutting edge of IBM research in the field of AI, what you just saw is the ability to understand a continuous narration, ability to understand the embedded meaning in it, ability to understand the human dilemmas, the context, all of that, and reconstruct an answer which is contextual and is completely self-contained. That's what you saw. And what does it mean in the context of all that we have discussed? What it means is that the AI is now capable of understanding complex human interaction and is able to respond back in context of what the person is asking and the nested context of what the person is asking or is intending. What it also is capable of, and I just mentioned about it, is it can start to explain itself or why it is saying what it is saying. So you now know that if an AI engine explains and tells you about some trends or parameters or exclusions, it can explain why it is telling you, and thereby bringing business very close to using it. Till now, AI has been a highly mathematical, a highly technical in nature, and thereby draws itself into an isolation where there needs to be an intermediary between the business and the people who are operating it. What this does is it breaks that down. It brings AI to your daily life. It brings AI to your daily life at business, and thereby integrates business decisions to the underlying data in a very transparent, in a very fluid manner. Now, what's behind this? And I'll just very quickly touch upon it. If you could just play the video for this. Hi, team, if you could just play the video for this. Yeah, hi. Now, we just quickly go. Excuse me. Yeah, could you play the other video, please? Yeah. Yeah, so what was really happening behind it? There's something very interesting. The technology that is deployed by Project Debater, which you just saw, is it can auto-learn, which means it can learn just like a human from what is available to a human across the world. So it can crowdsource understandings. It can glean from insights that is available across the world. It can read the internet. It can understand the quality that is being assigned to each of these arguments. It can interpret from what people are speaking in social media. It can assign polarity to it. It can understand strength of the arguments based on what people are talking about it. And then what it does is essentially it reduces the redundancy. And this is a very complex part. I'm not getting into it. It has some hairy maths behind it, but we make it simple for you. So what it does is it sees through it and creates clusters of what means the same, and arranges it, and then it picks from these clusters to form a continuous narrative, a narrative that is contextually correct and contextually completely well framed in the discussion. And that's what you just saw, takes AI and data to completely next level, which you are going to see. And I would encourage all those who are listening in to go to IBM's website, to the research website, which is research.ibm.com, and stay connected to what IBM is doing in the days to come, because this is really what is going to transform. And I would say this is kind of an inflection point where AI is very close to being a human, and thereby bring or blur the boundaries between human-machine interaction and making it very fluid for the business to delve in and out of it. Yeah. I'll just quickly skip over this. Essential, we have an incredible research team which really does this math for you. We have thousands of patents in this, and And if you're interested, you can go and look up on the IBM website, in the research website, once again, research.ibm.com. And there is plenty of feathers to our cap. We have beaten the Netflix prize winner algorithm, and you can look up the NIPS. You can look out the worldwide conference of 19, where essentially we have a proprietary algorithm of how we do dimensional reductions, which is the core of any construction of complex interpretation. And we have even beaten the support vector machines and the singular value decomposition, which is essentially what is used for dimensional reduction. I'm not getting into the details of it. There is pretty dense maths behind it, and that's for a different discussion. But in short, what we are trying to say is that leave the math to us. You focus on deploying it, and deploying it well, deploying it in an interconnected manner, harvesting the data well so that all of this can run, and you can really start to reap value out of it. Now imagine what you've just seen being infused in the recommendation engines that we are now taking to the market. It can understand, it can remember a person, preferences, it can understand natural language, it can understand context, and it can understand context in a complex conversation. And that's how the entire suite of products, the entire suite of services that we are taking to the market really allows business to kind of reap, which is far more than what businesses have seen in the recent times. Yeah. So what you're seeing is a cusp of it. Stay tuned, and you will see the real value coming out of this. I would urge that you think about how you can use it and deploy it in your businesses, and how you can streamline your organization. The key aspect is that you do not have to start big. IBM has all of this available on the cloud, so you can start small. The most important part is start the journey, because the faster you start the journey, the better it is. The lesser are your costs. Diwali touched upon it, and you will be ahead of your competition. Now, I'm really not going to delve into this, but essentially the way IBM does it is it does not do a disruptive surgery of your organization, but clearly bolts on to your existing information technology fabric, and allows you to very quickly take value out of this, very quickly deploy it. And the most important thing is that you can deploy it incrementally. So stay tuned to hearing from IBM. Watch out your competitors, and think about what you can do with this, with your organization, and the infinite possibilities of making it better.
Thank you, Kinshu, for those insights, and thank you, Dipali, for your insights. With that, we are getting into Q&A. So here we have received one query from Ramanathan. What is the roadmap for avoiding AI analytics for wrong purpose?
Sorry, I missed just the last two words. Could you come again?
Yeah, sure. What is the roadmap for avoiding AI analytics for wrong purpose? Like if somebody
so
wants
essentially,
to,
yeah, right. So essentially, you don't. The project is the aim of the project is not to apply AI. The aim of the project is that you want to improve something in your organization, make it better. So start from there and figure out what is it that you want to improve, and then think about it. That does that fall in the category of volume, velocity, and accuracy kind of a problem, or does it fall in the category of I want to know what's going on and thereby learn from it and improve my organization? So the crux of it is don't make AI the key element. Make the business improvement your key objective, and that will keep you in good stead.
okay. So, Kinshuk, we have another query from Pradipta, and he is asking, we are expecting effective and efficient KPI and area of improvement with qualitative facts. So I think his question is incomplete. So moving on, any applications that you can share in the non-profit space or NGO space? This is from Sanjay.
Right. So So I think we would need to know a little more about what the NGO is about.
Okay.
Sorry, we had a little bit of a sound issue here. What we need to know is what is this NGO, in which space is this NGO in?
Housing, example, water, and sanitation to the underprivileged. Sanjay is responding to your query. Yeah.
Sure. So in water and sanitation, I think there are a significant number of use cases where image recognition is playing a very big role in understanding and preventing widespread diseases, in understanding where there is water stagnation and what's the quality of the water, by using a combination of drone technology and image processing, and all this is being powered by AI algorithms behind the scenes. And more importantly, it can relay back in a language that a common man can understand, essentially telling what's really off the charts, or more importantly, out of the 10 things that are off the charts, what's really to be focused on. So that's one very big space where I'm seeing a lot of applications already that's happening. Is there any other specific space where NGOs are using? I have not seen in India NGOs using as yet, but I think the opportunities are pretty significant, especially in where they are engaging with far-flung areas of where they want to bring people to the mainstream in distribution of essential elements during flood, or there is significant amount of benefit that comes from cognitive algorithms because they can very quickly.
Kinshuk, I think we lost you again. Manish, can you hear Kinshuk? Kinshuk, can you hear?
How the situation is emerging and where to focus.
Sorry, Kinshuk, sorry, we just lost you in between. Can you just come again? Like you mentioned, like we just lost you in between. Yeah. When you were mentioning about NGOs and then
so
that in India drones and
So can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, all right. Okay. So essentially what I was telling is that there are significant number of areas where NGOs are using, and in fact the government is also using the AI technology. And the specific example that I was talking about is understanding water bodies and understanding the health of water bodies, which are often associated with spread of diseases, and preempting them. That's a big area in which I've seen a lot of application. What I was also talking about is there is significant amount of possibility, and I said that I've not yet seen NGOs applying it, but there's significant amount of possibilities as NGOs engage with far-flung areas, kind of work with underprivileged in areas where other facilities are not there. So cognitive algorithms can significantly improve detection of diseases, can significantly improve understanding of situations of people from various extraneous parameters, like weather, like other parameters in terms of traffic, parameters like dwelling densities, any parameters, any unstructured data, and you can quickly glean through it and can throw back a fairly comprehensive understanding of what's going on. And this can be contextualized in floods, in earthquakes, in mass population movements, in refugee movements. These are being used by UN in a pretty big way. So I'll just limit to that. The number of applications are pretty large.
Thanks for explaining, Kinshuk. Kinshuk, the next one is what kind of capabilities are required for enterprise-wide AI usage? If you can throw some light on that front.
Yeah, what kind of capabilities? Okay. I think the first thing is, as I said, start by being contextual to your business. See what your business really needs, and that's where you start. The next key thing is start harvesting data, and most importantly, not just harvest and keep it in a place where nobody can access it. Focus on how your data can be accessed. Then the then is investing in an enterprise-wide data strategy and enterprise-wide AI platform, which allows you to incrementally invest, use that data, produce insights, and then comes the most important thing is figure out ways to deploy it and urge your business and bring in the buy-in of your senior management to use it, because data harvested, great insights done, deployed, nobody uses, everybody goes back to their gut feel, doesn't help. So you need a champion at the highest level in your organization, and that will bring in the culture and change. So the key thing is invest incrementally in small proportions to your organization, of course, and start seeing value out of it. Of course, what you would, I think one key aspect is you would need in-house stewards who would handle this. Now, I think I got another question is, what's the minimum investment required for AI? You can start off by using all of what you saw on the cloud for, in fact, you can try and test it for free, and you could then deploy it very incrementally, depending on the size of your organization. And so cost is not an issue anymore. The investment is not an issue. The important thing is to start the journey.
That's great. Kingshuk, I believe I interrupted you in between. You wanted to complete this slide. I believe we have a poll question also.
Yeah. No, I have reached the end, so I'm
Okay.
good on that. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Kingshuk. Here, okay, I have received one more question here. We
Sure.
are using AI in some departments in my organization. What steps do we need to take to integrate it across the organization?
So, if you remember, there is a slide which I presented. You have to be careful about one aspect about AI. You could do great work in one localized area that does not give you a balance sheet value. If you want to make an organizational impact, lay down your processes and from start to end, and look at the entire process and see how you could bring in value to each step. Because when you bring in value to each step by automating or by introducing cognitive interventions or AI, then you get the multiplier effect. You think about a race, a relay race, where there is one runner who runs extremely fast and the next three runners run extremely slow or just run casually. The net effect remains the same. So you've got to make every bit run really fast. So take processes which are connected and look at each step and look at what minimum interventions you can do such that you can get an end value out of it. So go by processes, go by your organizational structure. That's what I would say.
Great. And one more question here.
Yeah.
Can you provide a ballpark on the kind of cost savings organizations can see by using AI?
It truly depends on the size of the organization and kind of the business landscape. As I talked about, for example, I mentioned about a bank that we are working about. The benefits are really very, very significant. When I say significant, I mean they're running into thousands of crores. So that's the scale it can go to. If you're it could be very small to very large, and depending on how you apply. So if you can give me context of your organization, what business you are in, what's the size of your organizations, and we could take it offline as well. That would give me a certain amount of context to tell you what kind of benefit you can bring in. And it also depends on the competitive landscape that you are in. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Kingshuk, for that. I think with that, we have covered all the questions. Niyaz, if you can just help me connect with anybody whom we have not responded. I hope we have covered all. Yeah? Yeah, I think we have covered all. So, Kingshuk, your final word, and then I will reach out to Dipali also for her
Right.
final word on this
Right.
webinar, Leadership in the Era of Data and AI Everywhere.
Yeah, my final words would be that be focused and keep it contextual to your business. Uh, Drive by the business benefit and keep a very sharp focus on the business benefit and pick from AI what is contextual to a business. Uh, don't make AI a project in itself, which doesn't have an end goal. The end goal has to be a business benefit, and invest in incremental proportions. Invest proportional to your organization so that you can carry this forward. And just remember something that with multiple with hybrid cloud and with AI being available on cloud, your initial investment can be very little. So make sure you start the journey and pay special attention to harvesting data, not just data that is on you because of the business you are in, but also your ecosystem, because that's going to be an increasingly important aspect about the data, which is how the ecosystem is responding to you and what the ecosystem is generating with respect to the interactions you are putting at play. Yeah, that's really what I would say you should focus on. Over to these.
Thanks, Kinshuk. Yeah. Kinshuk, we have received few more queries if we can. Yeah, though we have a hard stop, but I think we can take two more questions.
Sorry, so Dipali here,
Yeah.
was it a question for me or you just want me to add a comment?
No, I think Deepali just sorry. There's another question.
So there are, yeah, couple of questions we are receiving, Dipali, so I will definitely reach out to you. So I just wanted to understand, like, though we have a hard stop, but we can take few more questions. Kinshuk, if we can just go ahead with the first one. Any work done towards collection of administrative data in government through AI?
Yeah, in fact, unfortunately, I cannot name it because we are bounded by non-disclosure agreements. But we are working with a very key aspect of government where, unfortunately, I can't tell you which department because essentially I would be disclosing the information. But what we are doing is is nationwide for government to become very significantly efficient in it, understand how a population at large is engaging in that area, and I can just briefly mention the area. It's in the area of taxes. So it's a very large scale engagement, and it kind of deploys the entire continuum of AI, starting from statistical all the way down to deep learning and the entire fabric of it. There is probably another question that I saw: is any work done in AI in the insurance domain? Yes, of course, with some of the absolute key players of insurance, which is both in terms of processing claims by automating it, using both imagery as well as unstructured information, and thereby calibrating through deep learning algorithms what should be the claim, how should it be done, is there a doubt in it, what is the probability of fraud in it, a lot of it, the entire ecosystem, in fact.
Thanks, Kinshuk, for those insights. With that, Dipali, can I have your final word, please? Dipali, can you hear me? Dipali, we can't hear you.
Krishna?
Thanks. Yeah, thanks,
Hi,
Dipali.
Krishna.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi. So, 3, 4 things. One is that the Global C-Suite study link has been published by me on the chat. The India study link, as it comes, I will tweet it out on my Twitter. I put my Twitter handle on chat, and we can also send it to the participants later on. Venkat has asked me in a private chat a question, which is that, are there business cases that we have, especially in the auto domain or any other domain? Of course, we have these cases, and we publish them from time to time on the IBM India page, and you can watch it there. Having said that, my email ID, I can publish, or my Twitter ID, you can, if you write to me on Twitter, I will respond with any specific case studies that you require with your email ID. And my last two words, which is, trust is extremely important. Data is a prerequisite for AI, and I will repeat what Kingshuk said, which is that AI projects is not about AI alone. AI projects is about, your business vision and how you integrate data into your business model. Thank you, Krishna.
Thanks, Dipali. But I just wanted to understand from your side if you can just throw some light on the leadership perspective, because here we are talking a lot about AI, but if you can send some message for the leadership today that why AI is imperative to lead in today's society, in today's environment.
So, if you essentially look at AI, it tells you it can personalize, it can hyper-personalize in real time, and it can actually help you monetize your data. And the leadership teams need to understand that and lead by example by ensuring that the data and AI in the enterprise is utilized and is available to everyone to ensure that your customer experience is better. Why should they be bothered about it? If you lose the competitive advantage as far as the customer experience is concerned, and if you're not able to keep pace with your competitors, and these days competition doesn't even come from your own domain, somebody else can completely outplace you. If you are not up with the times and you're not taking care of your business model and your customer experience, you are in danger of losing your revenue and your market share.
Very rightly said, Dipali. If we are not up with the time, then it's going to be dangerous for all of us. Thank you so much. It's great having you, Dipali, today, and Kingshuk. We are honored to have both of you today. Thank you so much. On behalf of the Economic Times, I would like to thank all the participants for joining this webinar. For any suggestion, feedback, you can reach out to us at krishna.mukherjee@timesgroup.com. And it's time to say goodbye. And thank you once again for joining the Economic Times live webinar powered by IBM.
Yep.
Unanswered question.